Hello and welcome to CATSweek. I'm Annalise Poorman. On December 15th at the Bloomington City Council meeting, the council discussed designating the Reverend James Ferris House as a historic district. Historic Preservation Manager Gloria Calambragna shared the significance of the house and the role Reverend James Ferris played in Bloomington's history.
So this is an I-house. I-house is known for having a chimney on either side. Recently, you saw the Thomas Smith house. This is very, very similar. It is a sibling house made of locally sourced materials. So not only the bricks, but the wood as well. It does contain an architectural style detail or other element in danger of being lost. This type of architecture is, there aren't a lot of samples left in Bloomington. Most of the windows and doors are original. It does exemplify the built environment of an era of history characterized by this very distinctive architectural style.
City Council President Jim Sims supported the designation and wanted to ensure the documentation would be made available as official records moving forward.
I find it interesting and fascinating as well. And this is not a direct question, but I was wondering if the information that we're using to document can in fact be documented or recorded in some fashion to become permanent records of this property moving forward. So it's not a request. I just wondered if it could be done. So it'll be part of the records and fabric of that property. So we don't have to, it'll be part of the official records, the handwritten documents and all those sorts of things. So something to think about.
The council voted unanimously to approve the Ferris House Historic District designation. On December 15th at the Monroe County Public Library Board of Trustees meeting, General Manager of Community Access Television Services, Michael White, gave an update on the CATS agreements with surrounding towns and businesses. He shared that for the town of Ellettsville, Monroe County, and the city of Bloomington, the agreement was unchanged except for a 1% increase in price for their services. White also said that the partnership between CATS and WFHB would increase by $2,000 for the first time in 3 years. CATS production manager Martin O'Neill presented an update on the increase in CATS TV government meeting coverage over the years.
We will come back to 2016. We were doing roughly about 430 government programs a year. Ended up in 2021 with 665, so almost 700 a year. So, you know, so in the past 5 years, it's gone up by over 230 programs a year, just on the government side. So we've been actually doing a lot.
He said that the Zoom meetings have made government meetings more accessible, and residents have gotten accustomed to receiving the increased coverage. And we'll have more CATSweek after this message.
I'm at risk of thinking there's just no point in trying.
I'm at risk of looking in the mirror and hating what I see.
I'm at risk of regretting what I do, just to join the crowd.
I'm at risk of being told not to tell. And you would never know it by looking at me.
But with Girls Inc. in my corner,
There for me, every day.
Believing in me.
Showing me what's possible.
I can be strong enough
To respect myself and my body.
to say I can rather than I can't,
To say no with no apology.
To be a leader.
to finish school,
To own my future.
to break the cycle.
Girls Inc. believes every girl can succeed. That's why the trained professionals of Girls Inc. are there for our girls every day, supporting, mentoring, and guiding them in a safe, girls-only environment. Building bonds that last for years and change that lasts a lifetime. Girls Inc. gives girls the tools they need to boldly face challenges, to resist peer pressure, to be the first in their families to go to college, to beat the odds. With Girls Inc. in her corner, every girl can be healthy, confident, and resilient. She'll do more than dream about her potential. She'll reach it.
With you in my corner,
With you in my corner, I will not be another statistic.
I will fight for myself.
For my future.
With you in my corner, I will win.
Fuel her fire and she will change the world. Girls Inc. Inspiring all girls to be strong, smart, and bold.
Welcome back to CATSweek. At the Bloomington Commission on Sustainability meeting on December 14th, the current president, Jarrett Alexander, announced that he will be stepping down from his position on the committee and noted that there are vacancies that need to be filled.
First off, we have 3 vacancies on the commission. I know I brought this up last time, but if you have someone you know who you think would be a good addition, encourage them to apply. I don't know where the mayor's office is on those appointments. I think all 3 of the vacancies are mayoral vacancies, plus we have the vacancy from the IU Office of Sustainability. So just making sure that we're getting new people joining the commission to fill those spots. On that note, I also did want to share that next semester I will be studying abroad in Sweden. And so I will not be accepting another term on BCOS. So it's a little bittersweet, but I have been planning to study abroad for a while and I'm looking forward to it. And so I will be stepping down as chair and then also leaving the commission after the January meeting. So I just wanted to make you all aware so that the transition is as smooth as possible and we can get everything situated beforehand.
Assistant Director of Sustainability, Lauren Clemens, added that it looks like there will be 5 vacant positions and reminded residents to apply to the commission sooner rather than later. She said that officer elections normally take place in July and proposed that they amend the bylaws to have the officer elections in February or March. Clemens also reported that the group Confront the Climate Crisis reached out to the commission.
Someone reached out to the city from this group called Confront the Climate Crisis, and it's a grassroots movement asking if our commission would be interested in supporting their campaign. We don't need to take action on this at this meeting, but I wanted to encourage you all to check out the website and consider if at the January meeting we'd like to, as a commission, write a letter of support. And for more details, the link is in the agenda, but it's confronttheclimatecrisis.com/our campaign. And generally speaking, it's a group that's looking to advocate that the state take more action on climate, in particular, certain activities like advocate for the state to have a broader climate action plan. Just wanted to point that out and offer that at the next meeting, I will follow up in old business and see if that's something that the group's interested in writing a letter in support of.
She said that she will bring up writing a letter of support for the Confront the Climate Crisis organization at the next meeting on January 11th, 2022. At the Monroe County Community School Board meeting on December 14th, the board heard public comments from concerned parents asking for more policies to ensure gun safety in Monroe County schools. Concerned parent Maria Douglas asked the board to make security a priority on their agenda.
MCCSC receives money from the Indiana Department of Homeland Security for the Secured School Safety Grant. They receive money, let's say that again, which pays for the full cost of the school resource officer. That is specifically why they are not changing the title of this position, because they're getting money for it. I did some research, and MCCSC is slated to receive $60,000 in grant awarded in 2022. There is no longer a true SRO program. So where is that money going? Give the SRO the tools that they need to do to keep our children safe and to do their work. Let's work towards having a true SRO program. So drawing down the state funds is not disingenuous or perhaps fraudulent.
Resident Laura Cutchall suggested the school corporation work with the program Be Smart to help prevent gun violence through gun safety education.
What I would like to talk to you about is some actual data points that would help, I think, prevent gun violence in school. The direction I'd like to take you in is to talk to you about the program Be Smart, which is an independent campaign. The goal for Be Smart, pardon me, is the safe storage and secure of weapons. In 2020, there was a 64% increase in gun sales in the United States. Up to 80% of guns used in school shootings come from a home of the child. 5.4 kids live in a home with a loaded and unlocked weapon. Access is our problem. Access to guns. If we don't get a hold of this and prioritize it, this is what we're going to keep seeing. And we're going to have all these parents here upset. And it's horrifying getting a text from your child that they're in a lockdown at 8:42 on a Friday morning. And it's going to keep happening if we don't do something about the access. Be Smart is a campaign, like I said, to have a goal of safe storage. We've partnered with MCCSC in the past and have had pretty good relationships with the elementary schools. North High School has been very receptive. Mark Fletcher has not been receptive and hasn't responded to emails. I implore you to get proactive, especially like what we've seen in Michigan. The circle of responsibility is growing. We want parents to take more responsibility for firearms in their home. They have to be stored properly. They have to be secured. Be Smart can come to your schools and talk to your parents. We can send resources home with them. We've partnered with the Bloomington Police Department and they've donated gun locks to us. We can set up tables at events. We can talk to people. We want to normalize these conversations because the guns are here. They're not going away. We have to keep them secure so our students can't come to school with them.
At the Monroe County Council meeting on December 14th, the council heard a presentation from Financial Solutions Group on the sustainability of their revenue and spending plan. President of FSG, Greg Garatas, shared a financial analysis with regards to Monroe County's fiscal stability and the effects of possible annexation.
What we've done is we've set forth the projections. All of those assumptions that I built in the page right here, believe me, we know a lot about all the different revenues. I spoke in over 8 conferences last year or this year on county budgets. Actually gave the county budget presentations for the Association of Counties. And so really use some intelligence, so to speak, to back up those. But this is the key, that when we use the factors and we develop the overall plan, there may be negatives. And keep in mind, I call that making you aware of where you're going, and maybe ultimately what you have to do is say, wow, we're going to have to adjust some things before we get there. And so that's really important to keep in mind with this document.
Councilmember Marty Hawk commented, saying that the Public Safety Fund will take a hit if the annexation takes place.
This is where we will see a rather large difference if the annexation should go through. I mean, all of the others will see an adjustment we'll have to make too, because we rely so heavily on that 1% income tax. But this, we switched a lot of expenses over into this public safety income tax, and the city's going to get a much larger proportionate share of this.
That's correct.
That's correct. So that's really, I think, what, of course, we'll know a little bit more next month about where we might end up. But that's where we're going to really need you to help us.
Geratas shared that he thinks the budget might need to get tighter in 2023 and that there will be tough times moving forward. And we'll have more CATSweek after this message.
For hurting families in Monroe County.
A contribution to children who are vulnerable and in need of an advocate.
A staff that goes above and beyond to support and advocate for children in need of services.
The web of remarkable people who are dealing with difficult situations.
So many young people that are in need of help and trying to find a stable family, a stable place to live. Without the CASAs to make that happen, many of them would be unable to find a good home.
I love being that voice for the child who can't speak for themselves in court.
It takes me out of my comfort zone, and it also helps others.
CASA means supporting our community.
Being a CASA is making sure that your village is healthy and whole, and that the children in your village will someday be able to help the village as well.
A child who doesn't have a voice, maybe in their family situation or a school situation, now has a voice that can advocate for them.
I really enjoy working with children that are going through difficult times and letting them know that I care about their future.
We are privileged with our charge of representing the best interest of children. And so therefore we can advocate for exactly what they need without restriction, focusing on their best interest.
I want to repair the world one child at a time.
Welcome back to CATSweek. At the Ellettsville Town Council meeting on December 13th, Town Manager Mike Farmer explained salary changes necessary for the 2022 budget. He said that the wage survey did not account for the growth of the planning department's duties.
A few months ago, we lost our MS4 operator. I've been looking for someone to take over those duties, and we was trying to decide which employee and what employees we had where we could incorporate it with the existing employees' duties. We had an MS4 operator. He worked part-time on a weekly basis for half a day, and he retired. And we had $5,000 out of stormwater to pay him. The person we had was a fine employee, and as far as when he worked, it worked well. But the fact that rain events and work schedules and developments or events that occurred because of developing properties, one day a week, the schedule was never when we actually needed the MS4 operator. It's a part-time job, to be sure, currently, and we needed the flexibility that incorporating that job with one of our employees that were there 40 hours a week seemed to be the answer.
Councilmember Dan Swafford cautioned that diverging from the wage survey could spark other wage changes. Farmer replied, saying that the wage survey did not account for the assistant planner filling the position of multiple assistants.
I didn't think it was a good idea to do the wage study, and I was wrong. It was a good idea, and it brought to our attention an outside view of what we do. And it was done with professionals doing the work. And I think it was a terrific idea, and it changed the wages of a lot of our employees. And so it was very helpful. But I do not think that they got everything 100% correct. And considering that I understand and appreciate the wage study and the fact that I am involved day to day with the staffing of the town, I think they missed the fact that our assistant planner was in the same position as several other of our assistants. And it's really came to light. the responsibilities and the duties and the importance of the job. And it's par with the rest of those positions. And in fact, with the development of the town, and as it is, the planning department has went from few years ago, it was considered a junior department to it's the tip of the spear of what we are doing in Ellisville currently as we grow.
Councilmember Scott Oldham supported changing the salary and said that in the future they need to make budget changes based on the duties rather than the person or the position.
I still remain unimpressed with the job evaluation for a variety of different reasons, amongst which is, quite frankly, the job evaluation is now 3 years old. The economy is significantly different than it was then. The pressure to hire and find good quality people, I don't want to say didn't exist then, but it wasn't at the degree that it is now. There is currently a bidding war going on in a variety of different professions that, quite frankly, is boggling my mind. I never thought we'd see some of the increases across the board in different professions that we're seeing, and still people not taking the job. With that said, the one thing I want to interject here is whatever we do or don't do, I do want, and again, in all fairness, I want this whole argument or this whole discussion every year to stop. Let's find something, because that is not fair to this employee, because every year it comes down to, it seems as though the discussion revolves around one employee, and that's got to stop. So whatever we need to do now to elevate this person or to come to an understanding that this is where that person needs to be and we move forward from there. But for the last 3 or 4 years, every year it's been the conversation about this one specific employee out of all of our employees. And that's just not fair to them to be singled out. So if we need to go higher, we need to go even higher to make sure we're getting what we're paying for. Because Dan, you bring up a very good point. It's the duties that should make a difference. And Kevin, you bring up a good point. There's a lot more duties than there was before. And the point that I'm making, I think, is still valid, that there's competition out there for quality employees, and there's municipalities who are willing to pay hand over fist to get good quality employees, and we've got them. Let's make sure we're keeping them.
An official decision will be made at the next Town Council meeting on December 27th. On December 10th, at the COVID-19 press conference, Board of Health Director Penny Cottle shared information on how to use ourshot.in.gov to schedule a vaccination appointment.
If you need your first dose, your second dose, or a booster, the best way to do that is to visit ourshot.in.gov for vaccine availability. And when you go to that site, if you will click on sites, and then you can find the counties that are available. And I would go to Monroe County first, but maybe you live in another county and you want to go there, or you're visiting there, or it's just you work in that county. You can go to that county, see what's available. You can also just search mobile clinics. Every week there are mobile clinics throughout the state, and they rotate where they go. We've had several here in the county, so you can search by that. You can search by zip code if you want. Now, do keep in mind that if a site has filled all of their appointments and there's no availability yet, you may not see it any longer on that site. So we just wanted to really show today how people can find vaccination for them.
IU Health President Brian Shockney reported that IU Health hospitals are receiving help from the National Guard to provide some relief to healthcare workers.
This surge on top of surge means healthcare providers have even less chance to get a break from this pandemic and all the care and stress related to it. So we are concerned about our healthcare providers and workers as this continues. It's taking a toll on our mental and physical well-being. So as we continue to offer our team members resources to assist during this difficult time, the thing you can do is to get vaccinated, follow the precautions, and keep slowing the spread of this disease. IU Health is also seeking support from the Indiana National Guard. The IU Health South Central region has welcomed the support of the National Guard during this most recent surge. They are in all of our IU Health facilities here in the South Central region currently and arrived this week. We are grateful for that assistance. These citizen soldiers are focused on protecting and serving our country and now also our community.
Community member Patrick McGurr asked about Indiana University students going home for the holidays and if there are concerns about them spreading the virus when they leave and return. Indiana University Chief Health Officer Aaron Carroll responded saying that students who have tested positive are isolating for 10 days and that he believes things will be reasonably safe.
As for going home, again, for both those who are housed in our facility, which at this point is just a handful, and those who are isolating at home, of course, we're having discussions with the contact tracers about when and how it is safe to travel. Certainly no one gets on a plane if they are currently isolating from COVID. Driving yourself, however, is relatively safe. And if a parent chooses to come pick up a child, which does happen, that is, of course, a private decision that also can be reasonably safe with masking and being careful. But in general, again, I'd stress that the numbers of cases that we see on campus are lower than the surrounding communities. So there's not a real danger in sort of the IU population going elsewhere as much as it is often that we're worried when people are coming from other places back to campus, which is often when we see our surges. So we'll be, of course, watching in January when everybody returns, but for the most part, our slow exodus from campus next week should be reasonably safe.
And that is all for CATSweek. Thank you for joining us. For CATS and WFHB, I'm Annalise Poorman.